Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Module 1, Lesson 24, first lesson in Topic D of Eureka Math. So today we're going to go from percent and rates per 100. So your learning target. I will understand that percents are related to part to whole ratios and rates where the whole is 100. And I will model percents and write a percent as a fraction over 100 or a decimal to the hundreds place. So let's take a look at the exercise. Number 1, Rob's fruit farm consists of 100 acres, of which 3 different types of apples grow. On 25 acres, the farm grows Empire apples. Macintosh apples grow on 30% of the farm. The remainder of the farm grows Fuji apples. Shade in the grid below to represent the portion of the farm each type of apple occupies. Use a different color for each type of apple and create a key to identify which color represents each type of apple. So here we go. So for Empire, I'm just going to follow the same colors I used for highlighting. For Empire, I use yellow, and the letter Y will represent yellow. And the part was 25 because it told me 25. And the ratio is 25 to 100, right? The part is 25, the whole is 100. So I'm going to go ahead and label 25 units. And color it in. Okay, next we have Macintosh. And I'm going to use green. And it was 30%. So I'm going to shade in 30 units. And color them green. And my ratio is 30 to 100. 30 being the part, 100 the whole. Now, the remainder was Fuji apples. To figure that out, you first need to do 25 plus 30, and that's 55. So 55 acres have been taken. And now I need to subtract the whole, right, which is 100 from 55, and I have 45. So I know that the Fuji apples will be 45 to 100, 45 being the part, 100 the whole. I'm going to use blue. So I'm going to label 45 units again. 45 to 100, 45 units. And as you can see, let me shade it in. If you would add these up to show you that it's out of 100, we have 25 plus 30 plus 45. And 5 plus 5 is 10. 7, 8, 9, 10, 100. I just want to show you that all 3 of them add up to 100. All 3 of the parts add up to the whole, which it is shown clearly on the grid. Exercise 2. The shaded portion of the grid represents a portion of granola bar remaining. What percent does each block of the granola bar represent? So each block of the granola bar represents 1% of the granola bar. I know that, right? It's 100s, and it's 1 because they're asking for each unit out of 100. So 1 out of 100 is 1%. And what percent of the granola bar remains? So remains, I know that the shaded portion is what's left over. I have 80 units shaded in, right? So that would be 80%. And what other ways can we show this percent? We can show 80 over 100. We can reduce that to 8 out of 10, and we can write it as a decimal, 800ths. Exercise 3, and I apologize, this one's a little blurry. For each figure shown, represent the gray shaded region as a percent of the whole figure. Write your answer as a decimal, fraction, and percent. So we're going to write it 3 different ways. And we're looking at the shaded region. So let's look at letter A. 20% is shaded. That is how I write it as a percent. As a decimal, I can write it as 0.20 or 0.2. And as a fraction, 20 over 100. Or I can even do 2 out of 10. Picture B. Shaded, even though there are 2 different shades of gray, I have exactly 50% shaded, right? And as a decimal, 0.50. And as a fraction, 50 over 100. Which can be reduced to 5/10, and that can also be reduced to 1/2. All right, letter C. If you were to count them, you have 48 units shaded. That makes 48%. Right, 48 hundreds and 48 out of 100. What ratio is being modeled in each picture? So for picture A, the ratio is 20 to 10. Picture B, 50 to 100. And picture C, 48 to 100. How are the ratios and percents related? Right, it shows how much they are out of 100. Okay, exercise 4. We need to show all the ways as a percent, decimal, fraction, ratio, and model. So we're given 6%, right? And 6% as a decimal is written as 0.06. Do not get confused. A lot of times my students want to do 0.6. But that is incorrect because that would be 60%. So let me go ahead and take that off because I do not want 60%. I want to show 6%. So that would be 0.06. And maybe you will see it clear when you write it as a fraction. See how it's 6 out of 100? So I have 6 out of 100, and you read that as 600s. And you read the decimal as 600s. And the ratio would be 6 to 100. And to do the model, I'm not going to draw 100 units. I'm just going to go on Google and search a 10 by 10 grid and insert it. And I need to show 600s. So I will shade in 6 out of 100. So 60%. So this is the one you do 0.6. And as a fraction would be 60 over 100, which you can reduce to 6/10. But see how 60 over 100, 6/10. You read this as 6/10, and you also read this as 6/10. That's what helps me write them, is the way you read them. And the ratio would be 60 to 100, which could also be 6 to 10, right? Instead of I can do a 10 by 10 grid and shade in 60 out of 100, but I already know that 60 out of 100 reduces to 6/10. So I can do a tape diagram with 10 equal units and shade in 6 out of 10 to show 6/10. Now we're going to take it a step further. We have 600%. That would just be 6 holes, and let me show you why. Because we have 60 over 100. 600 over 100, and that reduces to 6 over 1. And 6 over 1 is the same as 6. So that's why 600% is just 6. And the ratio would be 6 to 1. And I would just need to do 6 holes, right? 6 is 6 holes. So I have 6 holes here. Go ahead and pause throughout the video. I didn't say it earlier, but pause every time because I want you to try it on your own. See how you do on your own and then push play. And if you had it wrong, just keep rewinding until it makes sense. We will also be doing all these same problems through video chat today. So I have 32%. Here it is as a decimal, fraction, ratio, and a model. So again, throughout this video, please pause and check your work. So this time they gave us a decimal. And let me go back really quick, sorry. I want you to try all of this on your own. Pause it. Don't just copy, I put the answers. Try it and then check your work. If you got it wrong, see where you made your mistake. And even as you see the answers here, if it doesn't make sense, send me a message. I've been available. Thank you to those of you that send me messages for help. I am here for you. So send me a message if you don't understand how we got any of these answers. Okay, exercise 5. Mr. Brown shares with his class that 70% of his students got an A on the English vocabulary quiz. If Mr. Brown has 100 students, create a model to show how many of his students received an A on the quiz. So we know the 70% of the students got an A, and he has 100 students, and we need to create a model. So I can do a 10 by 10 grid, which would be 100 units. Or I can look at it this way. 70 out of 100 is equivalent to 7 out of 10. So instead of drawing 100 units, I'd rather draw 10. And I can shade in 7 units, 7 out of 10. Where it says write the fraction, we already did that. We know that 70 out of 100 got an A, and that reduces to 7 out of 10. And as a decimal, 7/10. What do they all have in common? The decimal, the fraction, and the percent. They all show 70 out of 100. Okay, here is letter C. Marty owns a lawn mowing service. His company, which consists of 3 employees, has 100 lawns to mow this week. Use a 10 by 10 grid to model how the work could have been distributed between the 3 employees. So here there are going to be way different answers because you get to pick the numbers. Right here where it says percent, you choose the numbers, make sure that they add up to 100. Okay? You have questions? Send me a message. This is like one of the problems we did in the beginning with the apples, right? So I can't do this for you. I want you to try, and there's going to be different answers, and we will be doing this live today. And, sorry, the exit ticket, let me go back really quick. For the exit ticket, 100 offices need to be painted. The workers choose between yellow, blue, or beige paint. They decided that 45% of the offices would be yellow, 28 will be painted blue, and the remaining of the offices will be painted beige. Create a model to show the percent that will be painted each color. Write the amount as decimals and fractions. So pause it here. Do this on your own. I know you can do it. When you're finished, unpause and you can check your work. And here it is. You can check your work. If you did not get it correct, go back and do it again. Look to see where you made your mistake, and I'm here available for any questions. And here are the questions for the problem set. And I'm only providing the answer to number 2 because on number 1, you need to pick, just like the other question, the percents and have them add up to 100. And for number 2, I did provide the answer, so check your work. Thank you, boys and girls. I hope this is helpful, and at the same time, please join us at the chat at 10 a.m. Thank you.